The Great Withdrawal. The Interstellar Commerce Federation had governed trade and diplomacy across 147 star systems for 2 centuries. Its headquarters floated in the neutral zone between 5 major galactic powers. A massive station called Unity Prime, where representatives from dozens of species gathered to negotiate, argue, and occasionally reach agreements that benefited everyone involved. Ambassador Marcus Reynolds stood before the Federation Assembly, his weathered face showing no emotion as accusations flew from all directions. He was a veteran diplomat who had served Earth for 30 years, and he had seen this pattern before. The difference was that today something fundamental was about to change. The Talgron Empire's representative, a towering being named Vorath, whose species resembled crystalline formations with multiple sensory appendages, slammed one of his limbs against the speaker's platform. The sound echoed through the chamber like breaking glass. His translated voice boomed through the hall's audio systems. For the final time, we demand compliance. Human corporations have undercut our mining operations in the Kepler sector. Your technological exports have destabilized our economic projections. You will accept a 40% tariff on all goods entering Talgron space or face complete sanctions. Other voices joined in. The Mornathi Collective, insectoid traders who controlled shipping lanes through 3 quadrants, added their complaints. Human vessels were too efficient, they claimed. Human navigation systems made traditional routes obsolete. Human medical supplies had reduced demand for Mornathi pharmaceutical products. Even the normally peaceful Quilnar, aquatic beings known for their philosophical approach to conflict, expressed concern. Human entertainment had become so popular among younger Quilnar that traditional cultural practices were being abandoned. Something had to be done about human cultural contamination. Marcus listened to it all without interrupting. His aide, a younger diplomat named Sarah Park, shifted nervously beside him. She had prepared detailed responses to each accusation, documented evidence of how human activities actually benefited these species, economic analyses proving that cooperation was more profitable than restriction. But Marcus knew that evidence did not matter today. This was not about facts. This was about fear. For 50 years, humanity had been the newest member of the galactic community. They had been careful, diplomatic, and generous. They had shared technology freely, offered favorable trade terms, and worked hard to prove they deserved their place among the stars. And now, the established powers had decided that humanity had grown too successful too quickly. They wanted to put Earth back in its place. When the accusations finally ended, the Federation mediator, an elderly Corthian whose species had founded the Commerce Federation, gestured for Marcus to respond. The Corthians were tall and thin with smooth gray skin and large dark eyes that missed very little. Ambassador Reynolds, you have heard the concerns expressed by multiple member species. How does Earth respond to these demands? Marcus stood slowly. He walked to the center platform where all eyes could see him. He had given thousands of speeches in chambers like this one. He had argued cases, defended positions, negotiated compromises. Today would be different. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a single data chip. He placed it carefully on the speaker's podium. Then he turned and walked back to his seat. The chamber erupted in confusion. Vorath's crystalline form seemed to vibrate with anger. What is the meaning of this silence? Are humans so arrogant they refuse even to defend themselves? Marcus sat down, folded his hands, and said nothing. Sarah looked at him with wide eyes, uncertain what to do. He placed a hand on her arm, a gentle signal to remain quiet. The Federation mediator called for order. Ambassador Reynolds, you are required to provide a formal response. This is your right under Federation law. Marcus remained silent. An assistant retrieved the data chip and loaded it into the chamber's systems. Holographic displays appeared throughout the hall, visible to every delegation. The file was enormous, containing decades of trade records, diplomatic correspondence, and economic data. It showed every agreement humanity had signed with other species. It showed the original terms and the actual terms enforced. It documented every instance where Earth had been charged higher prices, given less favorable conditions, or held to different standards than other species. It was not an accusation. It was simply data, organized with meticulous precision. But more importantly, the file contained something else. Notices of termination. Humanity was withdrawing from every trade agreement, every technology-sharing program, every cooperative venture with species that had demanded these sanctions. The terminations were legal, properly documented, and effective immediately. The chamber descended into chaos. Multiple delegations tried to speak at once. The mediator's calls for order went ignored. Marcus stood, gestured to his team, and they left the chamber together. No one stopped them. No one knew what to say. Within 6 hours, the news had spread across the galaxy. Humanity had gone silent, not just silent in the diplomatic sense. They had withdrawn from galactic commerce entirely. Human ships were returning to Earth and her colonies. Human trade stations were being evacuated. Human representatives were leaving their posts on 100 worlds. And humanity was not explaining why. On the Mornathi trade world of Beskar Station, Administrator Zevel watched with growing concern as human merchants began closing their businesses. The humans had operated medical clinics, technology repair services, and entertainment venues throughout the station. They employed thousands of local workers. Their presence had made Beskar Station one of the most prosperous trade hubs in the sector. Javal tried to speak with Dr. Elena Vasquez, who ran the largest medical facility on the station. She had treated Mornathi patients for 15 years, saving countless lives with human medical techniques. Dr. Vasquez, please explain what is happening. Is this because of the trade complaints? We can negotiate. The collective does not support the Talgron sanctions. Elena continued packing medical equipment into storage containers. Her staff worked efficiently around her, dismantling systems that had taken years to install. Administrator, I have enjoyed working here. Your people have been kind to us. But Earth has made its decision. What decision? To abandon us over a political dispute? Elena paused and looked at him directly. Administrator, for 15 years I have requested permits to expand this clinic. Every request was denied. I was told human medical facilities could not be larger than Mornathi facilities, even though we treated 3 times as many patients. When I asked to train Mornathi doctors in our techniques, I was told humans could not teach advanced procedures to other species without collective oversight. When I tried to import newer equipment from Earth, I was charged tariffs that made it impossibly expensive. Javal felt uncomfortable. These were collective policies, designed to prevent any one species from dominating others. But hearing them described this way made them sound like something else entirely. We were trying to maintain balance, he said weakly. You were trying to keep us small, Elena replied. And now you will see what happens when you succeed. She finished packing and left with her team. Within 2 days, the medical facility was empty. The equipment was gone. Even the basic supplies had been removed. What remained was a hollow building that would take months to convert for Mornathi use. The same scene played out across the galaxy. Human teachers left educational institutions, taking their methods and materials with them. Human engineers closed repair facilities that maintained ships and stations. Human entertainment producers deleted their content from galactic networks, claiming copyright violations. On the industrial world of Kragmar, human mining consultants withdrew from operations that extracted rare minerals. The Talgron Empire had specifically targeted these operations in their sanctions. They claimed human efficiency was unfair competition. What they discovered after the humans left was disturbing. The mines did not stop working, but productivity dropped by 60% within the first week. The humans had not just been doing the mining, they had been optimizing everything. They had improved safety protocols, reducing accidents. They had enhanced extraction techniques, increasing yields. They had trained local workers in methods that made the dangerous work less deadly. Without human oversight, accidents increased. Equipment broke down more frequently. Workers who had learned to rely on human expertise found themselves struggling with problems they no longer knew how to solve. And when Talgron administrators tried to contact Earth for assistance, they received only an automated response. Humanity is currently reassessing its role in galactic affairs. We appreciate your patience. In the neutral zones, independent observers began analyzing what was happening. The Viridian Consortium, a loose alliance of species that specialized in information gathering, compiled reports that disturbed their leadership. Director Kael, a methodical being from a species that resembled upright cats with silver fur, reviewed the data with growing alarm. The Viridians prided themselves on understanding galactic politics. They had predicted conflicts, prevented wars, and brokered peace through careful analysis and strategic information sharing. They had completely failed to predict this. How did we miss it? Kael asked his chief analyst, a young Viridian named Mira. Mira displayed three-dimensional economic models in the air between them. Because we were looking at the wrong data. We saw human trade as a small percentage of overall galactic commerce. Humans represent perhaps 5% of total trade volume. It seemed insignificant, but humans were involved in critical infrastructure across dozens of sectors. They were not the majority supplier of anything, but they were essential suppliers of many things. They filled gaps. They provided services that no one else offered or that others offered poorly. They were the oil that made the machine run smoothly. Kale studied the models. Red indicators showed disruptions spreading through trade networks. Medical supplies running short on stations that had relied on human clinics. Communication systems degrading without human-designed components. Food shortages on worlds where human agricultural consultants had helped optimize crop yields. This is going to get worse, Mira said quietly. How much worse? If humanity stays withdrawn for 3 months, we estimate 17% of galactic commerce will be significantly disrupted. If they stay silent for 6 months, the disruption could reach 40%. Some systems might experience complete economic collapse. Kale felt cold, and we demanded they accept sanctions. Not we. The Talgron Empire demanded it. The Mornathi supported it. But yes, the consortium did not oppose it. We thought it was a minor trade dispute. It was never about trade. No. Mira agreed. It was about power. The established species wanted to keep humanity contained. Now humanity has shown them what being contained actually means. Kale made a decision. Send diplomatic requests to Earth through every channel we have. Offer mediation. Offer concessions. Offer whatever they want. We need them back. Director, all channels to Earth are receiving the same automated response. Then find new channels. Use personal contacts, trade connections, anything. Humanity is not going to let the galaxy collapse. They are too decent for that. But they are going to make us ask. And we need to ask before things get much worse. But things were already getting worse. On Unity Prime Station, the Federation mediator received reports of supply shortages. Human contractors had maintained 40% of the station's life support systems. Human programmers had written the software that coordinated docking procedures. Human technicians had serviced the environmental processors that kept the air breathable for dozens of different species. All of them had left, and they had taken their knowledge with them. The Federation had backup systems and non-human contractors who could do the work. But it would take time to implement, time that some stations did not have. The distress signal came from Nexus Station, a trading hub in the frontier territories. The station's primary power system had failed. Backup systems were failing. 40,000 beings from a dozen species were trapped on a slowly dying station, with life support dropping by the hour. The nearest rescue ships were 2 days away. Nexus Station had maybe 12 hours of air remaining. A human vessel was detected 3 light hours from the station. It was a civilian cargo ship that had been in the area when the crisis began. Multiple species sent desperate pleas for assistance. The humans had the capability to reach Nexus Station in time. No one else did. The galaxy waited to see if humanity would respond, or if their silence would remain absolute even in the face of humanitarian disaster. Marcus Reynolds sat in his office on Unity Prime, watching the reports about Nexus Station. His team stood around him, waiting for orders. Sarah finally broke the silence. "Sir, we have to respond. Those are innocent people dying." Marcus nodded slowly. "Send the order. Any human ship in range is authorized to render humanitarian assistance. But they are not to communicate with local authorities beyond what is necessary for rescue operations, and they are not to wait for thanks." The message went out immediately. The galaxy was about to learn something important about humanity. They might withdraw from politics. They might refuse to trade with species that treated them unfairly. But they would never ever let innocent people die when they had the power to help. That was the difference between humans and everyone else, and it was about to reshape everything. The Price of Silence, the human cargo vessel. Steady Hand arrived at Nexus Station 40 minutes before complete life support failure. Captain James. Chen brought his ship alongside the dying station with precision that impressed even the panicked station controllers who were preparing to abandon their posts. Chen did not request permission to dock. He did not engage in lengthy communications. He simply transmitted technical specifications for emergency power transfer and began the procedure. His crew worked with practiced efficiency, connecting massive power cables to the station's external ports. Within 18 minutes, Nexus Station's life support systems were running on the steady hands reactors. Then Chen did something unexpected. He began evacuating the most vulnerable inhabitants, children, elderly beings, those with medical conditions that made them susceptible to oxygen deprivation. His cargo holds were converted into emergency shelters. His medical officer treated dozens of patients who had already suffered from the failing atmosphere. Station Administrator Kelvin, a Rulani whose species resembled large amphibians with mottled green skin, tried repeatedly to thank Captain Chen, to ask about compensation, to understand what Earth wanted in return. Chen's response was brief. "We are stabilizing your station. Federation rescue vessels will arrive in 30 hours. We will maintain power until they do. Please focus on keeping your people calm." "But Captain, we must discuss what Administrator. I am busy keeping 40,000 people alive. We can discuss politics later." Kelvin found himself dismissed. The human captain had more important things to do than talk. The rescue became galactic news within hours. Every species watched as the human crew worked tirelessly, asking nothing, expecting nothing, simply doing what needed to be done. When Federation rescue ships finally arrived, the steady hand disconnected its power systems, verified that the station was stable, and departed without ceremony. Captain Chen ignored 17 requests for interviews. He filed a standard incident report and continued on his original route. His cargo of agricultural equipment needed to reach its destination, and he was already behind schedule. But the galaxy had seen something that troubled many and terrified some. Humanity had withdrawn from diplomatic engagement, but they had not abandoned their principles. They would not trade with species that treated them unfairly, but they would still save lives when they could. They were angry, but they remained decent. That combination was more dangerous than pure aggression. Would have been. Director Kale of the Viridian Consortium finally managed to establish contact with Earth. Through an indirect channel, a Viridian merchant who had done business with human traders for decades agreed to carry a message. The response came through the same channel 3 days later. Earth would meet with Viridian representatives, not to negotiate, not to discuss terms, simply to explain what was happening and why. The meeting took place on a human colony world called New Shanghai, in a simple conference room without the grand ceremony of Federation assemblies. Kale arrived with a small team, expecting to meet with Ambassador Reynolds or other senior diplomats. Instead, he met with Dr. Patricia Okonkwo, Earth's Minister of Economic Development. She was a woman in her 70s with gray hair and sharp eyes that suggested she missed very little. She wore casual business attire, not formal diplomatic clothing. "Director Kale, thank you for coming," Patricia said, gesturing to seats around a plain table. "I understand you have questions about Earth's recent decisions." Kyle settled into a chair designed for human proportions. "Minister, the galaxy is experiencing significant disruptions. Multiple sectors are facing economic difficulties. Some stations are experiencing supply shortages. There are concerns about humanitarian crises if this continues." "I am aware," Patricia replied calmly. "We monitor galactic news just as we always have." "Then you understand the urgency of the situation. Earth must resume normal relations with the Federation." Patricia smiled slightly. "Must we?" That is an interesting choice of words. Kale felt himself on uncertain ground. Viridians prided themselves on diplomatic skill, but this human woman made him feel like a student before a teacher. "I apologize. I meant to say that we hope Earth will consider returning to active participation in galactic affairs." "Better," Patricia said. "Now let me explain something that the galaxy seems to have forgotten. Earth did not join the Interstellar Commerce Federation because we needed you. We joined because we believed in the principles of cooperation and mutual benefit. We believed that together, all species could achieve more than any could alone." She pulled up holographic displays showing economic data. "For 50 years, we have operated under that assumption. We shared our technology freely. We offered favorable trade terms. We provided services at minimal cost because we wanted to build relationships, not maximize profit. Human generosity has been appreciated," Kyle began. "Has it?" Patricia's voice sharpened. "Director, let me show you something." The displays changed, showing a specific example. This is the medical clinic that Dr. Vasquez operated on Beskar Station. Over 15 years, she treated approximately 200,000 Mornathi patients. Her survival rates for critical cases were 40% higher than Mornathi medical facilities achieved. Do you know why? Kale remained silent, sensing this was not a question he was meant to answer. Because human medical technology is more advanced in certain areas. We developed sophisticated techniques because humans are fragile. Our bodies are weak compared to many species. We die easily, so we became very, very good at keeping people alive. Patricia leaned forward. Dr. Vasquez wanted to share those techniques with Mornathi physicians. She requested permission to establish a training program 17 times. Every request was denied. The collective decided that humans could not be allowed to train other species in advanced medicine because it would create dependency. That was a policy decision made to protect Mornathi pride, Patricia interrupted. Not Mornathi people pride. How many Mornathi died because your people refused to learn from us? How many could have been saved? Kale had no answer. The displays continued, showing example after example. Human engineers prevented from teaching advanced techniques. Human scientists blocked from collaborating on research. Human businesses charged higher fees and held to different standards than competitors from other species. We accepted all of it, Patricia said quietly. We told ourselves that we were new to galactic society, that we needed to prove ourselves, that patience would eventually lead to acceptance. And then the Talgron Empire demanded sanctions, and dozens of species either supported them or remained silent. Earth's response has been extreme, Kale said carefully. Complete withdrawal affects innocent beings who had nothing to do with those decisions. You are correct, Patricia agreed. It does affect innocent beings, just as collective policies affected innocent Mornathi, who died because their doctors were not allowed to learn better techniques. Just as Federation tariffs affected innocent human colonists who struggled to afford basic goods. Consequences spread beyond those who make decisions. That has always been true. She stood and walked to the window overlooking New Shanghai's skyline. Director, I want to show you something else. The holographic display changed again, showing images of human space. Kale saw orbital construction facilities, research stations, and manufacturing centers, but something was wrong with the scale. These facilities were built over the past 20 years, Patricia explained. This is a shipyard complex in the Kuiper Belt. This is a research station in deep space studying exotic matter. This is a manufacturing center producing advanced computational systems. Kale studied the images with growing realization. The facilities were enormous, far larger than anything humanity had publicly acknowledged. You have been building in secret. We have been building openly, Patricia corrected. We filed all the proper reports with Federation authorities. We labeled everything accurately. Mining operations, research stations, manufacturing facilities, all civilian projects properly documented. But the scale is exactly what we reported. No one paid attention because everyone assumed humans were small, new, limited. You saw what you expected to see. Kyle felt cold understanding settling over him. What are these facilities actually producing? Patricia returned to her seat. Everything we need to be completely self-sufficient. We hoped we would never need them. We hoped that patience and goodwill would eventually earn us genuine acceptance. We were wrong. The galaxy needs Earth, Kale said. The disruptions are already severe. If this continues, the galaxy will adapt, Patricia interrupted. Other species will learn to do things that humans currently do. It will take time. It will be expensive. Some beings will suffer in the transition. But the galaxy survived for thousands of years before humans arrived. It will survive after we withdraw. Is that what Earth wants? Complete isolation? No, Patricia said firmly. That is the last thing we want. Humans are social creatures. We thrive on connection, cooperation, and community. Isolation would hurt us as much as it hurts the galaxy. But we will accept that pain if the alternative is being perpetually treated as lesser beings. Kale considered his next words carefully. What would it take for Earth to reconsider? Patricia smiled sadly. That is the wrong question, Director. You should be asking what the galaxy is willing to change. Before Kale could respond, alerts began flashing on the room's communication systems. Patricia checked the messages and her expression darkened. What is it? Kale asked. The Talgron Empire has declared that human withdrawal constitutes a hostile act. They are sending warships to occupy human mining facilities in the Kepler sector. Kale felt his blood chill. That is insanity. They can and they are, Patricia said grimly. Vorath has convinced the Empire that humanity is weak, that our withdrawal is cowardice, that taking our facilities by force will prove Talgron dominance and intimidate us into compliance. Your military is quite capable of defending our territory, Patricia said calmly, but we would prefer not to start a war. She stood and began making calls. Within minutes, Kale watched as Earth's leadership coordinated a response. What impressed him was not the speed, but the lack of panic. These humans had planned for this contingency. They knew exactly what to do. Director, I am afraid our meeting must end, Patricia said. You are welcome to remain on New Shanghai as our guest, or we can arrange transport back to Viridian space. I would like to observe, if permitted, Kyle said. The consortium needs to understand what happens next. Patricia considered this. Very well. But understand that what you witness must be reported accurately. No exaggeration, no propaganda, just facts. I deal only in facts, Minister. Then you are about to see some very interesting ones. In the Kepler sector, 12 Talgron warships approached 3 human mining facilities. These were automated stations operated by small crews, designed to extract rare minerals from asteroid fields. They were civilian operations with minimal defensive capabilities. Admiral Thrace, commander of the Talgron Task Force, expected easy victory. His ships vastly outnumbered and outgunned the human facilities. He sent a simple message demanding immediate surrender. The human response came not from the mining stations, but from empty space between the Talgron ships and their targets. 3 human vessels materialized, appearing as if from nowhere. They were sleek and dark, unlike any human ship design that Talgron intelligence had documented. The lead ship transmitted a message. The voice was calm and professional. Talgron vessels, you are in violation of human territorial space. You have one opportunity to withdraw peacefully. Admiral Thrace laughed. 3 ships against 12. The humans were either brave or foolish. Probably both. Human vessels, you will stand down or be destroyed. We are claiming these facilities in the name of the Talgron Empire. Admiral, that would be inadvisable. Thrace gave the order to fire. His weapons officers targeted the human ships and activated their primary weapon systems. Nothing happened. Officers checked their consoles in confusion. Systems were online. Power was available. Targeting was locked. But the weapons simply would not fire. It was as if something was preventing them from functioning. What is happening? Thrace demanded. Before anyone could answer, his ship lurched. Not from impact or explosion, from movement. The massive Talgron warship was being gently pushed backward by an invisible force. All 12 ships in his fleet began moving away from the human facilities slowly but inexorably. Engines to full power. Thrace ordered. Counteract this force. His crew tried everything. Maximum thrust, lateral maneuvering, emergency protocols. Nothing worked. The invisible force continued pushing them backward with irresistible strength. They were not being attacked. They were being removed from the area like unwanted debris. The human voice spoke again. Admiral, your weapons are temporarily disabled. Your ships are undamaged. You will be released at the edge of this sector. Consider this a warning. Human territory is defended by means you do not understand. Any further incursions will be met with less gentle responses. Thrace felt humiliation burn through him. His mighty warships were being pushed around like toys. The most powerful military in the galaxy was helpless against technology they had never imagined. When his ships were finally released at the sector boundary, systems returned to normal. Weapons functioned. Engines responded. Everything worked perfectly. But Thrace understood the message. The humans could disable them at will. They had chosen mercy this time. Next time, they might choose differently. The encounter was recorded by automated sensors throughout the sector. Within hours, every intelligence agency in the galaxy had copies. Military analysts studied the footage with growing dread. Humanity possessed technology that could disable weapons and manipulate ships without visible weapons fire or energy signatures. They had ships that could appear from nowhere and disappear just as mysteriously. They had power that they had never revealed. Capabilities they had carefully hidden while being treated as junior members of galactic society. Director Kale watched the footage from New Shanghai and understood that everything had changed. The galaxy had pushed humanity to demonstrate their true strength. Now that strength was visible, and it was terrifying. "Minister," he said to Patricia, "the consortium will support revised terms for human participation in the Federation. Full membership with equal status. No restrictions on technology sharing or cultural exchange. No discriminatory tariffs or regulations." Patricia nodded. "That is a beginning, Director. But one species supporting change is not enough. The entire Federation must agree. After what they have just witnessed, I believe they will." "Perhaps," Patricia said. "Or perhaps fear will lead them to try uniting against us." "That would be unfortunate." Kyle understood the unspoken message. Humanity did not want war, but they would survive it if necessary. The galaxy might not. Over the following weeks, the balance of power shifted fundamentally. Species that had demanded sanctions now requested negotiations. Trade agreements were renegotiated with genuinely fair terms. Human technology sharing programs were reopened with proper respect and compensation. Cultural exchanges resumed with mutual benefit, replacing one-sided extraction. Ambassador Marcus Reynolds returned to Unity Prime, but not as a supplicant seeking acceptance. He came as the representative of a major galactic power that could no longer be ignored or dismissed. When he spoke in the Federation Assembly, delegates listened with attention that bordered on nervous respect. "Humanity does not seek dominance," Marcus told the assembled species. "We seek partnership. We offer our friendship freely, but we demand respect in return. We will share what we have, but only with those who value the sharing. We will defend our territory, our people, and our principles against any threat." He paused, looking around the chamber at faces both alien and now attentive. "The galaxy is stronger when all species contribute their unique strengths. Humans have much to offer. We also have much to learn, but we will do so as equals, not as subordinates. This is not negotiable." The vote to grant Earth full Federation membership with equal status passed overwhelmingly. Only the Talgron Empire abstained, their pride still wounded from the humiliation in the Kepler sector. On New Shanghai, Patricia Okonkwo watched the vote results and allowed herself a small smile. They had achieved in 6 weeks what 50 years of patience had not accomplished. But the cost had been high. Trust once broken would take time to rebuild. Some relationships had been permanently damaged. Still, it was a beginning, and humans were good at beginnings. In the command center beneath New Shanghai's capital, the defense systems that had pushed back Talgron warships remained on standby. The ships that had appeared from nowhere returned to their hidden stations. The technology that had shocked the galaxy went back into reserve, ready if needed but hoped to remain unused. Humanity had shown its strength. Now came the harder task of proving that strength did not mean aggression, that capability did not require conquest, that power could be wielded with wisdom and restraint. Captain James Chen of the Steady Hand received a commendation from Earth's government for his rescue of Nexus Station. He filed it away with other awards and continued his trade routes, delivering agricultural equipment to colonies that needed it. Some things did not change. Humans helped where they could, spoke when necessary, and remained silent only when words had lost their meaning. The galaxy trembled when humanity fell silent. But when humanity spoke again, the galaxy listened. And in that listening, genuine partnership finally became possible. The age of assumptions had ended. The age of respect had begun.